So Borderlands 4 launches on September 12th, and 2K was nice enough to send me an early access code to review the mission Rush the Gate. This is within the first 4 hours of the game, and essentially is part of that Fadefields Idolator Sol command area. Big thanks to 2K for providing that code for me. I will say this entire video is going to be a review over essentially this mission, this section. It's going to be my own thoughts. Again, I appreciate them providing that code, but I just definitely want to make sure this is kind of like my unedited thoughts going into it. But I gotta say, I'm pretty positive so far about what I've experienced with the story of Borderlands 4. Before I jump into it, make sure you're following me over on YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch at Birdman778. Give a thumbs up on this video. Please let me know down below what character you're interested at launch, whether it is Vex, Amon, Parla, or Rafa. I'm definitely going to be a Rafa guy through and through, so more or less need you guys telling me what second character I should be playing. Subscribe, become a member, and let's jump right on into the video. So I'm going to break this up into a couple different parts. We're going to talk about the story that we're experiencing within this mission. I'm going to talk about the gameplay I experienced going through this area, and then we're going to talk about the boss fight itself against Idolator Sol. When it comes to story, I don't want to spoil pretty much anything coming up to this, but again, I think the best way to really describe it is this is one of those, you got the band together, it's time to fight Idolator Sol. It's time to rush the gates and essentially take back the Fadefields. Now, let's talk a little bit about Idolator Sol himself as part of the story. He is one of the lieutenants of the Timekeeper. Essentially, kind of view him as kind of the right-hand man. He's this kind of sniveling, brown-nosing villain who pretty much just wants to do whatever he can to make the Timekeeper love him, and one of those things is going to be taking the Fadefields for him. Essentially, since Elpis has hit, the entire population has been fighting back, and he's needing Idolator Sol to take control of the Fadefields. But honestly, I think he's a pretty solid villain. I mean, he's not too crazy, like, you know, having his own like needs or wants or anything. Like, his entire thing is just, can I make the Timekeeper happy so that he loves me and brings me back into his, you know, circle, so I'm not having to be out here in the Fadefields. But overall, pretty solid, you know, easygoing lieutenant kind of commander. Now I want to talk about Rush, who is probably like one of my favorite characters I've experienced so far in the game. In Borderlands, typically a lot of the characters we experience are like anti-heroes, people who don't really want to be the heroes all the time, and then you have Rush here, who more just wants to be a helpful hand to those around him. He doesn't look for glory. He is a natural born leader who is always like, hey, I want you to succeed. How can I help you reach that point? And that's insanely refreshing, and like I almost instantly kind of like grabbed onto him. I was like, oh, I love you. Like, I felt this whenever I did my review earlier in May when I was in, you know, Nevada for early access gameplay. I was like, oh, I already love this guy. He's amazing. And he's one of those guys who's willing to like kind of like sacrifice himself, you know, for the greater good, even though he is like kind of that leader who's like, I need to be, you know, there to help my people and help those around me. He's willing to, you know, take a bullet for them at the same time. And I like his combo with another character that we experienced in this mission, Zadra, who is definitely more on the, you know, kind of anti-hero, thinking about myself kind of vibe. She was part of the Order. I won't really explain anything else other than that, but she's Order. So you can kind of guess that she is the flip side of what Rush would be, being, you know, a man of the people versus a woman of the Order. But when you bring them together, you make a really solid team that allows us to get to this point of the Rush the Gate mission. But the story of Rush the Gate is pretty solid. I'm going to kind of blend this into like talking about the gameplay. It is your basic, you know, rush the fortress, break down all the baddies. There's really nothing too kind of crazy about it, but at the same time, the gameplay of Borderlands 4 so far is so great. At this point, I am at level 16. And my build is really coming together. I get about 15 points in the top section for Rafa, and I'm using the Peacebreaker cannons, and they feel great. I am loving the build crafting section of this game right now. And the Order fighters themselves are actually really great. I like the variety of enemies and everything. I would say they're pretty similar in kind of how they fight to the Iridians. A lot of flying enemies are shooting projectiles, a lot of like close range, like staffs, like coming kind of running at you and doing some slices, kind of teleporting backwards, stuff like that. Not like, you know, psychos or rippers or anything like that that are much more just like chaotic. The Order, on the other hand, is very tactical. But the fight leading up to Idolator Sol, pretty, again, basic, easygoing. And then we get to the final boss fight of Idolator Sol. I loved this fight, and I love how they've really designed these world bosses. I think they learned a lot from Wonderlands with the secret bosses and like having a large arena to work with like giant attacks and, you know, different mechanics that you have to do to like get past them versus just having the enemy be just like a bullet sponge. Kind of go over real quick Idolator Sol's like move sets. He's got like some spikes that shoot from the ceiling. One of the spikes you have to grab and throw at him to break off his invulnerable shield. He's got a large energy blast he shoots from his hand. He does a rushing attack at you, like a bowl kind of like rush. He also does like a basic swipe, and then he also does a large arena kind of like spinning swipe. And probably the scariest of all is going to be these like kind of like caustic lightning bolts he shoots from the ceiling. Now, it's going to kind of telegraph where you need to go to avoid getting hit by these attacks. I recommend kind of standing towards the center of the arena by him. He obviously won't hit you or anything while you're there, and it gives you kind of like a shorter path to run between the multiple different safe zones. I mean, he's freaking tanky. I mean, it definitely took me a little bit to get him. It took me a second to like figure out like, okay, what's his crit spot? What do I need to attack specifically to make sure I get him down? It took me a while just to even figure out how to, you know, get his armor stripped off of him. But once I did that, it was pretty easy going. I wouldn't say it was simple, but I was able to, you know, figure out the mechanic and move on from there. Overall, the fight with him was great. I think he was a really solid world boss, and it has me really excited to experience the other area bosses when we go to the multiple other sections in the game. Overall, really did enjoy this part. I think that they did a really good job with the Fadefields. I think they did a really good job with Idolator Sol. Again, I don't think he's anything like crazy unique and different like, you know, some other like side bosses we've had throughout the Borderlands world. But at the same time, I think how they mechanically created this mission, how they created this fight was really, really solid. And again, like I said before, it has me excited to experience the other parts of this world. And it really, overall, I would say the story so far has me really, really happy. Now, like I mentioned again, big thank you to 2K for providing this key for me for early access to play this mission. So excited to try out all the other world bosses. Excited just to play Borderlands 4 in general. Like, again, the Timekeeper seems like such an amazing, kind of like spooky villain. If his world bosses are this kind of tough, to go against, I can't imagine what the fight against him is going to be like. And that also has me like super excited for the endgame bosses and everything we're going to experience along the way as well. Again, if you're going to be playing Borderlands 4, make sure you are subscribing and becoming a member of the channel. Make sure you give me a thumbs up on this video and let me know something you're interested in seeing down below, whether it's the characters, Vex, Rafa, Amon, or Harlow, or if you're looking for different guides for like the world itself or anything in between there. Regardless, thank you so much for watching the video today, and I hope you have a great night, day, or whatever it may be.